On this episode of Kelly's Cars, we take a 2001 Dodge Ram that was my pop's, that had been sitting for about 2 years, drop a couple batteries in it, and drive it cross country. This seems like a completely sane and logical idea. Truth, Will, you ready for this? Let's go. Dealing for the gram. Gotta love a Dodge. Okay, so I'm in here with my older brother. We've got the dueling diesels and the dueling trailers. We're picking up a couple trailers from my pop's property, bringing it over to my brother's property. And, well, we've got the zero turn Gravely on the big trailer. It is bad luck to have an empty trailer. I'm not going back without something loaded on this trailer. Day one of the journey starts. All right. I haven't had coffee yet. We gotta load the truck. Hey friends, so this is KFD from the future in Arizona. I'm sitting here in the magical land of post-processing. So it is 10 a.m. and I'm kind of fuming because I wanted to leave at like 7. It just didn't happen. I had some family paperwork and stuff to sign. You gotta remember, I inherited this truck from my pop, and we still had some legal stuff we had to do. So I'm at my brother's place there in Lady Lake. That was my mom's trailer you just saw, and here I am resetting the trip meter. Fun fact, I didn't know this, the trip meter on these second-gen Dodges read from 0 to 999 miles, then it resets back to 0. So you're going to see that where I'm saying, oh, I've got 1,800 miles on the trip, and you're like, well, dude, it only says 800. So that's why. And the other issue I have, too, is you can see where the steering wheel is crooked to one side. My toe is off. That's on the to-do list. I might do that this week as I'm making this video here in post-process land to re-tow the truck and get it straightened. One of the things I did today, which you guys won't see, is the fact that I had to also replace the steering column because the gear selector in this thing is just so wacky. It just kind of wants to do whatever I want. But you can see, again, I think that's what I'm complaining about, is how that steering wheel is just kind of off. Anyway, let's continue on this. Well, I guess I forgot to film it here, but I finally got on the road, probably about 10 o'clock. I loaded the truck up, went over to the Wawa station. I reset the trip meter at 0 miles and I left my mom's place that's there on my brother's property. Currently, we're about 84 miles in. I'm taking the 75, and what we're going to do is we're heading all the way up to the 10. We're going to hook a left, and then we're just going to go straight, probably until we hit the US 70, which is right on pretty much the Arizona-New Mexico border. So anyway, me and Suburban have been cruising, and I can tell you one thing, is this truck, people see it in their rearview mirror and they get out of the way, which is absolutely fantastic, but I'm blown away at the amount of left lane window-licking derpers that are just hanging out here in the left lane. Listen, folks, camp in the mountains, camp in national parks and state preserves. Don't camp out in the left lane. All right, we are making the transition from the 75 on to the 10. We're going to be on here for, I don't know what, another 1,970 miles, something like that now. So here we go. We are getting it on. I'll tell you, this truck, I've been doing about 85, a little bit faster than I should be going, but this thing hasn't even broken a sweat. I mean, you can see down the gauge down there, it's still sitting at the cool side of normal. And me and a couple other trucks, I think this silver truck up here, me and him, we've been cat and mousing for a while. There's been a couple of us, we've all been kind of going through traffic and letting everyone through, and we're all working our way together. Well, our other two friends, they headed on north on 75, but me and Silver Chevy, we're still rolling. And right now it says about 90, according to the GPS on Waze and everything else. This thing runs about 7 miles off, so I'm doing about 83 right now. But I'm really hanging out right here at 22 to 2400 RPM, and I've got no cruise control. And Silver Truck's gonna let me by. All right, everybody, watch out for Mr. Policeman. Watch your speed. Thank you for visiting the free state of Florida. Welcome to Alabama. Okay, we are 508 miles away from Lady Lake. Just crossed over into Mississippi. Hey friends, KFD, the Odyssey of the Big Blue Dodge continues, and we are here in Gulfport, Mississippi. I actually was stationed here when I was in the Seabees, in MCB 133, and by the grace of Fred Rogers, of course I have friends here. So, I was literally pulling off of Highway 49. My gas gauge is right at 1/8 of a tank, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to fill this thing up. And what happened? Boom, the thing died. So, y'all see the Starbucks right there. It was literally right there where those trucks are when Big Blue shut off. So I coasted in that parking lot, and of course, naturally, out of fuel. So with a diesel, you have to actually crack the injector lines open. So crack the injector lines open. Do I smell like diesel? Of course I do. But what do I care? So we got a $30 jerry can. We got 2 gallons of gas. Put it in here, and got this thing started. Got it over here. Now I'm gonna go have beer with a couple of my buddies that I served with, and then I'm gonna try and beat the storm coming because I don't have any good windshield wipers on this piece of junk, so we got that going for us. But let's not run out of gas again, or run out of fuel. Forgive me, run out of diesel fuel again. We'll be good to go. Okay, check it out, New Orleans. So, what did we learn today? Well, 1/8 of a tank is bone dry, so we're not going to do that. But we're going to try and push on to Texas tonight, so which should be another couple hours away. I'm going to try and see if I can make it to Houston. I doubt it. But I'm going to pop a couple 5-hour energy shots and claw my way through traffic and then try to head west. But I was thinking about going and cruising around the French Quarter for you cool kids are on YouTube. But that's not going to happen because, again, I'm already 4 hours behind schedule. I got to get back to Phoenix at the end of the week, and then I'm kind of freaked out about running out of gas. That kind of wigged me out a little bit. Hey, I see a Challenger. All right, let's keep on going. So we currently are 787 miles in this trip, somewhere between Lafayette, Louisiana, and the Texas state line. Of course, it's raining, and I've been going through a few rain bands here and there, but as you can see, the windshield wipers suck, and the headlights suck. But we're still doing it. We're gonna get to Texas come hell or high water or bad headlights. It's like 10 o'clock, so I've been driving now for about 12 hours, and I have officially hit the Texas state line. 880 miles from Journey Acres in Lakeland, Florida to the Texas state line. I'm going to keep on pushing. Whenever I get tired, then I'll stop one of these rest centers, take a nap for a little while, get some shut-eye. But again, the push to Phoenix continues. Okay, here's the current situation. 949 miles. Ignore that check engine light. I'm over here at a safety rest area because, you know what? I'm tired. Well, it's not that I'm tired. It's that I've been on the road all day, and it's got this, there's this rain kind of happening. These lights are exceptionally useless. So you can imagine that it doesn't make it easy to see stuff. So with that being said, I'm just going to take a few hours nap and then continue on. Alright, it's like 4 a.m. Texas time. I took a break, or took a little nap, so I'm going to go brush my teeth and change up my underwear and shirt, because they both smell like disgustingness and diesel and everything else. And then we're going to hit the road. So we've got another 16-hour push, and then we're back home to Phoenix. Let's get this party started. And yeah, it's cold in here. I'm just glad that I've got like a blanket and a comforter and a hoodie and all that sort of stuff, because it is cold in this thing. I really got to fix that HVAC system. Now I did throw $40 of gas in this thing back in I think Lake Charles, Louisiana, probably about 100 miles or so. But we're gonna do it again. We're gonna throw $19 in there because I put $25 for coffee and a croissant. And I seriously, this is actually the access road right here that went from the rest stop I was just at, and I'm still kind of running like Mr. Magoo because these lights absolutely suck. They're useless. But we'll put 5 gallons in here, 5-6 gallons in here, and keep heading west. Okay, this must be a Texas thing, because this is the 10th vehicle I've seen, or 10th convoy, where we've got a regular size, like half-ton pickup pulling 2 vehicles behind it. I've never seen that anywhere else. And every time I drive back from LA to Phoenix, I always see some semblance of a Toyota pickup truck being tandem pulled with the words "in tow" usually taped on the back window, but never a land train of 3 vehicles. That's interesting. All right, just so we're aware, if you're passing through Texas, no trip is complete without the pilgrimage to the almighty Buc-ee's. So I just put $40 of gas in this thing. They had a burrito. You want some Rotella oil. You want apparel, the whole nine. This place is like freaking the promised land. Anyway, it's freaking cold. I've been wearing a blanket like David Freiberg or Homeless Dave because it is cold. The heater does not work. It was not like this when I was in Florida yesterday. And we are blowing through downtown San Antonio. Now, this is the third time that I've done this trip, and it's been about 15 years. I went to drive out to Hermosa Beach, California to pick up my motorcycle from my parents' house in Florida when I had my little S10. And one thing I noticed is always interesting is you start out in Florida, again, like where they were, North Central Florida, where my brother is now in Lady Lake. A lot of water oak, a lot of rural areas, pine trees, the desert or the limestone coral dirt roads. And then as you take the 10 freeway, you start seeing all those pine trees kind of give way to the Gulf Coast. And then you see the bayous of Louisiana. Then by the time you hit Texas, it's all those grasslands and all those plains. But then by the time you hit here to San Antonio, you see that major shift. And that is, it goes from that kind of that more green, lush greenery that we see on the eastern seaboard, more towards desert. And while the desert steppe or the desert climate will change, and you'll see more saguaros in Arizona, for instance, one of the things that's interesting is the fact that this entire desert climate that we see west of San Antonio will extend all the way out to the Inland Empire in Riverside, California, and almost Orange County. So it's pretty wild. I don't know if I've told you guys how absolutely insanely monotonous going across Texas is, but here's been my excitement for the day. The gear shift issue's been acting up. It was 29 degrees for most of East Texas. It's starting to warm up a little bit now. It's probably like 40 outside right now. The heater in this thing doesn't work. I've got a big ass blanket I've been rocking. I think I mentioned that. I've been doing the TikTok or the Instagram. But the other thing we've had, a little bit of stress as well, is the fact that there's been a super pesky fuel leak. And it's coming from one of the return lines. And so I've been sitting here all day Googling it and freaking out, Googling it and freaking out, all that sort of stuff. And what I did, just preemptive measure, if I can find it, is I did purchase some fuel line, just in case. And, well, it's not diesel, but in case I have to. Because I thought my mileage has been going down. I'm doing the math on it. And my first leg, remember yesterday, when I was in Gulfport, I ran out of fuel. And we know that from Lady Lake to Route 49 in Biloxi, Gulfport, that is exactly 551 miles. So 35 gallons, we know that is about 15 miles to the gallon. Well, I was just over in, I can't remember, Junction. There's a Sonico station I filled up at earlier. Snowing, flurrying, I'm freezing my you-know-what's off. I put 10 gallons in it. And then I get over to the next place, Fort something or other. I can't even remember. And I'm freaking out because I swear the gas gauge is just dropping in front of my eyes. And then I do the mileage again. It's getting 20 miles to the gallon. So right now I'm at a quarter tank. I actually just crossed into the mountain time zone. In fact, the sign says 1 mile to Alaport. And I'll show you the right here. Just a big expanse of absolutely nothing. And again, this is what it looks like east of San Antonio, and stays like this. Anyway, as I was saying, I stopped a few times, and I think that I might have had the issue licked. Fingers crossed. I mean, the fuel consumption's looking normal. There was a couple of loose lines. I think I might have had
injector 5 a little bit too loose, because remember I had to bleed all the injectors yesterday. Tightened everything up, but I was seeing fuel leaking from the bell housing. I'm like, why the hell would that happen? That's a common thing with these Cummins. It's return line, see the return line, there's a banjo fitting in the back of the head. All I know though is right now I am about 90 miles east of El Paso, and then that means I'm about 400 miles home. So I'm going to make it tonight, probably about 6-7 hours. So I'm going to try and limp this thing, or well, watch the fuel gauge and stay nervous and freaked out. This thing hasn't broken a sweat at all. Driving at 80, 85 miles an hour, so which I'm fine with that. So the Odyssey will be coming to an end here soon, but we still got a while to go. But yeah, I haven't really filmed much of it today. It's been pretty boring. But if you guys done the trip, you know how it goes. You know what I don't see down there? Fuel leaks, which is absolute victory. So I was having that issue with this thing leaking fuel, and I was really freaking out, thinking a line was busted. No, I'm an idiot, and didn't tighten up the fuel injectors all the way. Remember when I ran out of gas yesterday, I ran out of fuel yesterday, I didn't tighten it all the way, and I was having some crazy, and I was really worried about it. But we are good to go. We are currently in El Paso, and I'm going to possibly buy a case of Yingling beer, and we're going to do the final push back into Arizona. We are absolutely in the home stretch now. We have 194.3 there on the odometer, which means that is 2,194.3 miles from Lady Lake. Currently, we are about 30 miles south of Casa Grande, which basically means I'm about maybe an hour home. So it's about 10 o'clock now, and I'm still going on 4 hours sleep. But 5-hour energy drinks are doing their thing. I just want to make that push to get this thing home and then call it a night. And you see that trip meter. That's not 277.6. That's 2,277.6 miles from Lady Lake, Florida to my apartment here in Gilbert. This is so surreal. Sitting in this truck and looking at my Challenger when just a couple days ago I was driving this thing around Florida. But I can't be happier that Big Blue made it here, and let me tell you, tired is an understatement. I smell, I need a shower. I got a lot of work to do in this thing, guys, so stay tuned. This is the goal at the end of the journey. It's the next day. And where are we? We're out here at Canyon Lake. This is Cousin Rick. You guys have seen me in my videos before, but I had to come back to Arizona for a work thing, and well, that kind of got canceled last second. So Cousin Rick calls me up, and we drove out to the lake. And did I take the Challenger? Absolutely not. Jumped right back into Big Blue, and we came out here, and I met him out here, and this is a perfect way to end a crazy 2.5 day or 1.5 day cannonball trip from California, or from Florida, back here to Arizona. It might be time for me to go try and fall back in the water again on one of these silly stand-up paddle boards. But stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more shenanigans happen with Big Blue.